In this video, I want to share with you how I became a millionaire at 26, how I made 500 grand in a month and lost it almost as quick, and how I almost dethroned Bezos by starting a bookstore. I know it's deceiving today that I dye this hair for business. I put all this in here. It's jet black naturally. It's pretty clear that I'm not 26 today, but I want to share with you the road I went down to make my first $1 million and the rocky road it took me to get there. My story starts in rural Colorado, Dove Creek, Colorado to be specific. I don't like to brag, but it's the pinto bean capital of the world. So I was a serial entrepreneur. I'm down to, I have an extra $20 when I'm in college. And you gotta remember this in 1999, not the internet of today. This bookstore at college, when I'm going to ASU, the bookstore would put out about 20 to 100 books every single day. They want to sell them for $1. They would take the old textbooks and they would sell them for $1. So I bought 20 of those books, went on the internet. Well, I turned that $20 into about 150 bucks. So what do? I take the $150, I go back, I buy 150 books, I turn that into $600. Then I take the $600, I buy 600 books, I turn that into $3,600. So at this point I realize I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a genius, obviously, what else could go wrong? So I want to go to the ASU bookstore and see if I could buy all of the books that ASU had. Now here's what I learned in this process is that other colleges would use a second generation book. So they would use a one-year-old textbook instead of ASU always would use the newest book. So I'd buy this book for $1 and I would sell it for $30 to $40. So my margin was insane. I would make $1, I would mark up the shipping by $1 so I'd have no cost for the book. It's like the greatest business ever. 21 years old, I'm making $300,000-$400,000 a year selling books online. It couldn't be easier. I have no employees, just me and my girlfriend. We would do this in about an hour a day. And so what do you do when you're 21 years old making $300,000 or $400,000 a year? You buy a boat, you buy a jet ski, and you buy everything possible that makes no cognitive sense. You buy a restaurant, did that too. Just bought a restaurant because when you're this successful, what can't you do? Ultimately, the restaurant's a colossal failure. It goes under, it's a disaster, and my loan was structured as annual payments. So every year, I have a $14,000 annual payment. I have 3 of those and a balloon. Lucky for me, I shut the restaurant down, so now I've got debt, no income, and lots of opportunity. So I sell my condo and I netted exactly $14,000. First payment, gone. Now I have to go back to the restaurant that I left before telling them I'd never be back in here waiting tables, only to say I would love to wait tables here. And at this point in time, now the book money is now gone. Other players come on the scene. They figure out how to do what I'm doing. So now I'm back waiting tables and I am working 7 doubles a week. And I actually spent an entire day while my girlfriend was out of town. I drive around Phoenix for an entire day to try to figure out which apartment will give 1 month's free rent with great credit. I have great credit, I have no money. What an opportunity for someone. So I find the one apartment that will do this. I walk in there, they said, yes, we do have 1 month free with a 12-month lease with great credit. Would you like to see your unit? I tell them, absolutely not. I don't need to see it because I can't find another one. I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I understood that real estate's probably where I wanted to be. And I went to this program and it's how to buy real estate with no money down. Lucky for me, I too have no money down. And so I followed the steps in the book, I closed on a property and I put no money down and actually got paid from title to buy this property. So now I go home, I tell Taylor, look, we bought this property and she's so excited to move in there. I'm like, we're not gonna move in there. Our apartment rent's only $500 a month. If we make $200 a month in passive income, our apartment rent, we can apply that to our $500, we're only paying $300 a month. We get a couple of these, we could live in this crappy apartment for free. So now I've got my first rental property. A couple years later, I sell it. I think we made $30,000, $40,000 on it. Again, I got it for zeros, which 30 or 40,000 seems like all the money in the world at this point in time. So now I went to Scottsdale. We decided to move up there. My wife was from that area. I bought a house in Scottsdale in 85254, quote the magic zip code if you're Phoenix people. And I bought it for $283,000. I decided I was going to be a flipper, but all the builders back then would allow you to write a check for $1,000 and they'd start building your home. Well, over the 9 or 10 months, those homes were appreciating like crazy in value. So you could just close on the home, put it back on the MLS, and you could make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. Me being a serial entrepreneur, I decided to put multiple horses in the race. So I've got 6 or 7 of these being built. And so my neighbor comes over to me in Scottsdale and said, hey, I heard you flip homes. I'm like, well, I flip builder homes, not really the same thing, doesn't matter, sure. And he says, hey, I actually want to sell my home. Now I bought my home 2005 in Scottsdale. It's going like this. So probably already it's worth $350,000, almost $400,000. And he comes over and I'm like, well, how much do you want for your home? And he says, $230,000. And it is just like mine. My heart's racing out of my chest. I don't say, I'm like, hey, it's really tough to make that happen, but I tell you what, no problem, I can do it. I dumped $30,000 into that home and I sold it for $430,000. When I did that, it made my house worth over $500,000 based on the comp because I'm next door. So I made just shy of $400,000 in a little over a year. Took all that money and moved to Chandler to my dream home at the time. So I traded a 1971, 2,000 square foot built home in Scottsdale for a 3,800 square foot single story, 3-car garage in a gated neighborhood out in the suburbs that kind of reminded me more of where I grew up in Colorado. And at this point, I decided to do my second act, right? The first time I got crushed was in the restaurant. What do I decide to do? I decided to be a real estate investor. I'm licensed now. I'm helping other people buy real estate. And so I go cut a deal to sell all of the model home leasebacks in Maricopa County. So I bought a $1.2 million model leaseback. Now the smart people were buying they were doing the ninja loans, like no income, no job. I had a job, was making lots of money, was doing incredibly well. My first year in real estate, I made about $750,000. I took all of that money, I lived off almost nothing, invested it all. So I bought a model home, I bought a property at Chaparral Pines. I did all the things you could possibly imagine. I had over $10 million worth of real estate and went to work with the banks and asked, hey, will you work with me on payments? The tenant moved out and tried to work with the banks and everything I could. They were only working with homeowners at that time. So I ended up with a short sale, a foreclosure, every possible thing you can imagine, and I burnt my entire net worth and income to zero. Additionally, my income went from making $700,000 a year to almost zero in 2008. Throughout all the craziness and all of the stupid things I did, I actually managed to save a significant amount of money. I had enough money to go out and buy a home for cash and I could fix everything. So I look at my wife, I said, if we make 3 really hard decisions, we could change everything. Number 1, we gotta go move into a home we can afford. We bought a home for around $400,000. And so with that, the rest is kind of almost history. My son's born and now I start real estate. After almost leaving real estate in 2008, by 2011, we were the number 9 agent in the country, number 3 in all of Keller Williams. So over the last decades, I took those lessons and realizing the things I bought in real estate made no sense at all. And I went back and looked at some of the real estate I owned, had I not had a bunch of crap with it, would have actually been fine. Number 1, have an investment model that actually makes sense. Number 2, when you're in your 20s, go focus on experiences. Gain as much knowledge doing different things as you can. You never know where that will apply in your future. Number 3, go out, play big, because age is not a number that determines your income. What you know here determines your income. You can have it all. You can do a lot more. And I learned so much from failure. I hope it helps you, inspires you to understand the possibilities and what you can do. And hopefully you become a millionaire earlier than I did at 26.